Okay, so you know that feeling, right? When you finally get the keys to your dream home, that fixer-upper you've had your eye on, and you're already picturing knocking down walls, picking out paint colors, making it your own.
Oh, yeah. The excitement is real.
Right. But imagine this, you start demolition and stumble across something absolutely horrifying.
Oh, no. Like what?
Well, that's the nightmare a family in Colorado walked into, and it's the focus of today's deep dive.
Sounds intense.
It is. We're talking about a house with a hidden secret, a family's disappearance, and it all revolves around a recent news story from Blaze Media. We'll get into all the details, but wow, this one is disturbing.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive in.
So this all starts back in January of this year, 2024.
Okay.
This family in Grand Junction, Colorado, they buy a house totally normal, right?
Yeah, sounds like a typical start.
Except as they're cleaning things out, they make a gruesome discovery in the freezer.
A freezer? What are we talking about here?
Human remains, a head and hands, to be exact.
Oh my God, that's awful.
It gets worse. The investigation found that those remains belonged to 16-year-old Amanda Lyriel Overstreet.
16? And what happened to her?
That's the thing. She was last seen alive way back in 2005.
Wow, so this wasn't a recent thing at all.
And here's the really unsettling part. Amanda was the daughter of the home's previous owners.
So she was living in that house and then just vanished.
That's right. And get this, she was never reported missing.
Wait, no one reported her missing? Not even her own family? How is that even possible?
That's one of the biggest mysteries in all of this. Almost 2 decades passed and no one said a word. It wasn't until these new homeowners made their horrifying discovery that her story came to light.
I mean, I can't even imagine finding something like that in my house, but then to learn it's the previous owner's daughter who was never even reported missing, that's a whole other level of disturbing.
It really makes you wonder what went on in that house, Rick.
For sure. What could possibly explain keeping a secret like that for so long?
And there's an even more unsettling detail. A neighbor was interviewed and said that Amanda's remains weren't just in the freezer. They were reportedly covered with frozen meat.
Oh, God, that's chilling. It's like they were trying to just erase her, completely make her disappear.
Exactly. And it just adds another layer of complexity to an already horrifying situation. What would drive someone to do that?
It makes you question everything you think you know about family, about community, about what goes on behind closed doors.
Absolutely. It's the biggest question in this whole case. What could possibly explain a family not reporting their daughter missing for all those years? What leads someone to make that choice, to keep that secret buried for so long?
It's almost like there are no words. It just defies comprehension.
I mean, it's just heartbreaking, right? To think about this girl just vanishing and then for whatever reason, her own family never reports her missing. Like, what could possibly keep someone silent for so long?
You have to consider the sheer weight of carrying a secret like that year after year. It's a heavy burden. The guilt, the fear of discovery can be completely consuming.
And it makes you wonder about the psychological toll it must take to live with that kind of secret, to know what happened in that house.
Exactly. And it's not just the individual carrying the secret. It's the ripple effect on everyone around them. The family, the community, everyone is impacted in some way.
It's like that house held onto that secret for almost 2 decades. And who knows how many people might have walked through those doors completely unaware of the darkness hidden inside.
And that's the thing about secrets, right? They have a way of festering and growing in the darkness. And the longer they remain hidden, the more power they seem to hold.
So how do you even begin to unravel something like this? I mean, we're talking about a case that's nearly 20 years old.
It's incredibly difficult. Time is the enemy in cases like this. Memories fade, evidence degrades, and witnesses disappear. It's like trying to piece together a puzzle where half the pieces are missing.
And in this case, you also have the added challenge of family members potentially being involved. How do investigators navigate those relationships while trying to uncover the truth?
It's a delicate balance. You need to build trust, but also maintain a healthy dose of skepticism. Family members can be incredibly protective, even when it comes to protecting a terrible secret.
It's a difficult thing to wrap your head around, but it makes you wonder what could have been done differently. Were there any signs that were missed? Any opportunities to intervene?
That's what's so haunting about cases like this. You always wonder if there was something someone could have said or done that might have changed the course of events.
Like maybe if someone had spoken up, if someone had noticed something wasn't quite right, things might have turned out differently for Amanda.
It's impossible to know for sure. But it does highlight the importance of paying attention to those around us, to being present and aware of what's happening in our communities.
Absolutely. Because sometimes the most vulnerable among us are the ones who are the least visible. It makes you think about your own street, your own neighborhood, right?
Hmm.
Could something like this be happening just doors down and we'd never know?
It's a chilling thought, but I think it speaks to a larger issue of isolation and disconnection in our society.
Because in a way, we're all kind of living in our own little bubbles, right?
Exactly. We get so caught up in our own lives, our own routines, that we can become desensitized to what's happening around us. We might see something that seems off, but we brush it off, tell ourselves it's none of our business.
We don't want to get involved.
Right. Or we think someone else must have it handled. But the reality is sometimes those little signs, those gut feelings, they're our only warning system.
So what can we do? How do we break through those barriers and actually start looking out for one another?
It starts with small steps. Simple things like checking in on your neighbors, especially those who live alone or might be going through a tough time, maybe offered help with groceries, or just lend an ear.
It's about being present in our communities, right? Not just physically present, but emotionally present as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And being willing to have those uncomfortable conversations. If you see something that concerns you, don't be afraid to say something. You could be wrong, of course.
Yeah.
But you could also be the one person who speaks up when everyone else stays silent.
And that takes courage.
It does. But it also takes a collective shift in mindset. We need to move away from this mind-your-own-business mentality and start embracing a sense of shared responsibility for one another.
Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, right?
Absolutely. We're all part of a larger community, and what affects one of us affects us all.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this. Don't be afraid to be a little more nosy, a little more involved, a little more willing to reach out and connect with those around you.
Because you never know whose life you might touch, whose story you might change, by simply being present and saying something.
And sometimes the small acts of kindness, those seemingly insignificant moments of connection, they can have the biggest impact of all.
They really can.
This deep dive has been a tough one, but it's also been a powerful reminder of the importance of human connection and the power of community. Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll be back soon with another episode, another story, another chance to dive deep and explore the world around us. Until then, take care, and remember, you're not alone in this.